What is up, guys? It is Micah. We're back again today with another lesson. This is a beginner lesson and it is about rhythm. Reason is because a lot of times as beginners, we have a hard time making our rhythm sound good. And there's a couple of really good, easy, simple tips that I have that I always give to my students when they're making a lot of racket, basically on their. When you first start playing guitar and you see a strum pattern, down, 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 up, down, up. And it's just noisy. It's loud. It makes a lot of. It's rackety. It doesn't sound dynamic. It doesn't really sound good. It sounds. It's just loud. Now, and the reason is usually because we have 6 strings on the guitar, and if you go hitting all 6 of them all the time, it's a lot of noise. Of course, there we go. Getting some buzzies out there. That's a little better. There we go. So it's a lot of noise. And you wonder when you listen to better guitar players who sound good, and you're like, wow, that sounds really nice. Why does theirs sound so good and yours doesn't? Because you're doing exactly what they tell you to do. And the reason is because on the downs and the ups, down strums and up strums, you pretty much all the time, a guitar player is not going to hit all the strings on either one of those strums, not down and not coming up. Typically on the downs, you're going to be hitting these low strings. And I'm saying low as in low sounding strings. And then these high strings on your up stroke, okay? And I'm again, high being the pitch. A higher pitch is these ones down here, and the lower pitch is these ones up here. So on the downstrokes, hitting these low sounding strings. On the upstroke, hitting more of the the higher sounding strings. So the beginner rhythm tips. The first tip is the low high. Work on hitting your lows and highs. And so let's just say if we have a strum pattern of down, down, up, down, up, right? Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Okay. Now down, down, up, and then we have another up. Well, we had to travel down first to get to the up, right? So so there's a space. There's a space where I'm traveling but not hitting the string. That's just a little side note. You don't want to be playing a pattern like. You don't want your hand to be pausing. You want your hand to continue moving at the exact same speed. Where there's a gap, you just want to skip over the strings. But on your downs, you want to be hitting these low ones. Typically 2 or 3 low strings. Okay? And depending on what chord you're playing over here will be the first string. So if you're playing a G chord, you want to hit the top string and the 1 or 2 underneath that on your downstroke. If you're playing a C chord, then you don't want to hit the top string. You want to hit the 5th string where your first that third finger is holding a note there. We don't want to hit that E note, the E string at the top. So the lowest string you're going to hit is that 5th string, and you have to practice that. Okay, that doesn't miraculously come. You have to work to hit the string that you're wanting to hit. And I do that. I'll hold a chord and I'll sit there and. Because you want to build the muscle memory of how does it feel to hit those strings. Over time, it gets better and better, but in the beginning, it's not going to be very good. And if you never think about it and you never try it, you're not going to get very good at it also. So I'm a big fan of finding a way that I can get a lot of repetition on whatever I'm trying to work on and get that repetition quickly. Okay, if it takes me 10,000 times, or hopefully it won't, but if it takes me 1,000 times to get it and get it pretty good, then the sooner I can get to 1,000, the better. So rather than me, only doing it, You know, why don't I just practice how that feels? Okay, that's a good tip. Now, and then on the upstroke, we're typically going to be playing the high sounding 3 strings. Okay, so we're playing a C. So on the downs, I'm hitting the lower strings, and then I got a down, up. You heard the low strings and the high strings, and then I have an up, down, down, up, down, up. So down, down, up, down, up. And on that last one, you could go lows, or you could not worry about the lows. Okay, that up, down, up. You could keep that all on the highs if you wanted to, and it would sound fine. Okay, and if you switch chords or strum patterns or whatever, say we went to the D chord, and we did, let's go like a down, 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 up. On this one, I'm hitting low here, and then I'm hitting, on the next down, I'm hitting high ones. But this is the thing. The big thing on this tip is the lows and the highs. So get used to not hitting all the strings, but just hitting the ones that you want. You want some low ones, or do you want some high ones? What's going to sound the best? And obviously you can kind of hear that if you listen to a strum pattern from a song or whatever. You can kind of hear what's going on. Am I hearing lows or am I hearing highs? Pay attention to that and work and get used to hitting the lows on the low, and then on the downstroke, and just a few of the highs on the up. So okay, so that's tip number 1. The last tip, number 2, is small strokes. Get used to using small strokes instead of big strokes. And that kind of fits along with tip number 1, hitting the lows and the highs. But also, you know, we can, these middle strings, where you're just hitting, you may not even be hitting the top string. But you'll notice the strumming that I'm doing, and again, this is my beginner hand, okay? This is about to be going on week 10 in this challenge here. But these small wrist motions are going to sound much better than these large. Okay, and not saying that there's not a time for the large motions, you know, but you're just going to have a whole lot more control, and you need that control if you're going to have a dynamic type of strumming pattern when you're playing music, and be able to control your volume with lower volumes and higher volumes for different parts of a song or whatnot. You're going to want to practice these downs and upstrokes, okay? And get used to that pick. You know, how does it feel when that pick is just making these smaller motions? How tight or how loose does it need to be? You know, you start to get used to that thing. How much does your wrist need to roll to make that happen? And you can practice it with a chord, or you can practice it without a chord. Either way. But those are just some good tips, guys. So anyways, good beginner tips on having a better sounding rhythm. So lows and high strings, and then get used to using smaller strokes, smaller strums, which are going to allow for you to have more dynamic type of rhythm. That's it for today, guys. Yeah, that's it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you need help with. And give this video a like. I hope it helped you. And I'm going to see you in the next guitar lesson.